Freddie, I want you.
Freddie, I'm going to get you this time.
Freddie, I'll be coming after you.
We're going to get you, Freddie.
It looks like he can't pass anybody unless he goes down through the bottom of the grass and slides in and body slams you.
Winston Cup has its intimidator, Dale Earnhardt. And his Mooresville, North Carolina neighbor, Freddie Query, has become the dominator in 1997 in the Hooters Cup. He's the points leader, winning 2 of the first 3 events, and he likes being a wanted man.
Come on, boys. Come and get me.
From Mobile International Raceway in Mobile, Alabama, with temperatures in the 80s and a brisk 15-mile-an-hour breeze out of the west, we're here for round number 4 of the 1997 Hooters Cup Racing Series on ESPN2. The man that everybody is chasing, we told you a little bit about him, Freddie Query. He's won 2 out of the first 3. Hello again, everybody. I'm Marty Reed. Last year, Query lost the championship by just 31 points to the man who drives the number 28, Billy Bigley Jr. And Bigley did it a la Darrell Waltrip when he won his Winston Cup championship without ever visiting Victory Lane. Now, Bigley has some pressure to find Victory Circle, but he also knows what it takes to win a championship.
I'm trying to be a little bit more smarter in a race car than worrying about trying to win races right now. I still like looking at that big picture at the end of the rainbow, you know, the big pot of gold out there. I really would like to have won New Smyrna. I think, you know, I knew Darrell Brown had a really good race car. I knew he was going to be the guy to beat. But I really wasn't going to push the issue bad enough because I'd rather run second than be, you know, wrecked or spun out or in the fence and finish 20th.
The pole sitter, Mike Garvey, set a new track record by 0.3 of a second at 17.5 seconds. And Mike, I'll tell you, you must like being on ESPN2. We've had 2 races on the air, and you've been the pole sitter for both of them.
Yeah, I sure do, Marty. I wish you were doing all the TV races. All the racing. Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about strategy here. This is a very, very difficult racetrack right now. It looks like it's one group.
It sure is, Marty. The outside, they sealed the track, and what we've done in practice, we rolled the sealer off the bottom. So the bottom's extremely fast, and the outside is extremely slippery. So the outside right now is no man's land. Hopefully we'll get some side-by-side racing going, and we'll get a lane out there, but this can be pretty treacherous at the start.
So patience becomes a virtue here, right?
Yeah, sure does. I just hope everybody uses their head and keeps it clean and takes these the first 100 laps, and we got something left to race the last 100.
Well, it's time for us to get out of the way and let these guys do their job. Let's turn it over to the 2 guys that are going to call the race for you today, Ray Dunlap and Larry Rice.
Well, thank you, Marty, and welcome everyone to Mobile International Raceway. Today it's the 4th event of the 1997 Hooters Cup Racing Series. We'll be bringing you 11 races this year on ESPN2 of the 18 events that'll be running this series, and let's take a look at the racetrack.
Well, it has 15-degree banking in the corners, but the unique thing is the pit area. You have to go around the little track on the inside, make that complete circle in order to get back out on the racetrack and make your pit stop.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Cars fire to life here as we get ready to go racing 200 laps around this half-mile racetrack. And Larry, you looked at the pit road map. That's interesting, but there's also some other things about this track.
Well, there are no walls on either end. If you look up in the back of your picture, you can see the racetrack up there and the white lines, but there's no wall coming up from the outside. If you get out of shape and get really in trouble, you can go right up and over the bank and then back on the racetrack. That's good for the race cars because you don't do a lot of damage to them. But sometimes it's very expensive to the underside of the cars. You get out there and bounce around in that dirt.
Well, the cars start to roll off the racetrack here. You see there Mike Garvey in the Coors Light Chevrolet. He is your pole setter today. As Marty mentioned in the open of the show, his 2nd pole of the year. Number 40 starts on the point with Scott Wimmer, the leading Rookie of the Year candidate on the outside. Good qualifying run for him. Dick Anderson in the number 92, and local favorite Scott Carlson starts on row number 2. Dwayne Dempsey and Darrell Brown. Darrell, the winner at New Smyrna earlier this year. We see Bobby Gill and Ronnie Burkett going off there in that row. From 9th through 22nd, you can see all of your favorite drivers there. Not a great qualifying run for Billy Bigley.
No, he qualified back in 16th. I'm sure he's not happy with that. And it's going to be difficult for him to make his way up from that far back in the field.
Steve Allison, the last car to qualify there, number 23. He'll go off 30th. And Tom Sheffield from Texas, the only car that was not able to get his race car running here. And, oh, boy, another car with some trouble.
Boy, I can see that. You're underneath the hood, so there must be some sort of an electrical problem. They're in there trying to get this thing going right now. You know, there's no way of telling. It's usually electrical trouble when you can't get the car started at the start of a race, though.
Car number 5, Bobby Gill in the terminal trucking entry there, sitting on pit road. Take a look at it from the onboard camera there of Dick Anderson's number 92. We see Freddie Query in car number 8 there. Of course, Query, a 2-time winner already this season. He won at Lakeland and also at Volusia County. So Query on a roll. We're getting ready for the start here. Bobby Gill's car has fired, and he's out on the line now. We're going to see the green flag this time by if there's no problem. Mike Garvey on the point in the Coors Light Chevrolet down the front straightaway, and there's the green flag from starter Dick Westfall.
And you can see Garvey got a great start. And look at the crowd, great crowd in the background as this racetrack holds a lot of people, and they're all ready for the start of this race.
You see the Castrol GTX in-car camera there of Dick Anderson as he's making a move on Garvey right off the start here. He's putting some pressure on car number 40.
Man, are they close. You can see everybody is pretty well right away gotten into a straight line. This racetrack, they've just put sealer on it about 2 weeks ago. When you put sealer on a racetrack like this, it makes it very slick. So everybody pretty well got into line, got down in that bottom groove, because right now it's the only place that's got any rubber on it. Very difficult to run outside that bottom groove.
Single file racing here on the start as Mike Garvey from Suwanee, Georgia has taken the point. Garvey with a very fast race car as he qualified at over 102.611 miles an hour. A very fast racetrack here at Mobile, Alabama. Glad you're joining us here for the Hooters Cup Racing Series. As I told you, we'll be with you on ESPN2 throughout the season, taking a look from an inboard camera. And Larry, these cars are very, very fast.
They're very fast. This is an extremely quick racetrack, and I tell you, with the shape of it, not very much banking, no wall, it's a nice racetrack to run. Oh, look at this. We got a pass for the lead.
Dick Anderson takes it down to the inside. He puts the pressure on Garvey coming off at turn number 2, and he slides a bit high. Garvey goes to the outside and takes a look, but Dick Anderson will take over the lead here on the 5th lap.
And Garvey did a nice job to get back down to the bottom, not lose more than one spot.
Take a look at the points coming into today's race. Freddie Query on top with his 2 victories. We'll be back to Mobile. Today's running of the Miller Lite 200 is brought to you in part by Hooters Restaurants, delightfully tacky yet unrefined, and by Jackaroo Barbie Sauce. If you've got regular barbecue sauce, you ain't got Jack. And by naturally fresh, pure Spring Mountain water. It's delightfully refreshing.
Back to green flag racing, and Dick Anderson has pulled out into a pretty nice lead, leading this group ahead of Mike Garvey right there in second place. Garvey's back about 6 or 7 car lengths. He's really doing a nice job, but lap traffic is really beginning to play a part in this race.
Well, Steve Allison in the car number 23 is already right in front of the leader as Anderson makes the move to the high side. And I'll tell you what, Larry, coming down that front straightaway, the sun is right in these drivers' eyes.
Yes, and it's only going to get worse as the day progresses. That sun, you're looking right into it, and as you see it in the camera, believe me, it's just as bad inside that race car. It's very, very difficult to see. The lap traffic is going to be very important throughout this race. They're already catching on to these guys, and we talked earlier about how slick the racetrack was with the new sealer on it. You can see when you look in the corners where the groove is, where the rubber has been laid down on that bottom groove. And as they catch this lap traffic, they're going to be very careful to try to catch them on the straightaway so they don't have to get out in that second groove in the middle of the corner.
Well, it worked really well for Anderson that time as he caught up to Steve Allison right down the front straightaway, coming off at turn number 4. And you're right, it's interesting to watch these drivers up front, how closely they're hugging that inside line. Look at this. Mike Garvey in the Coors Light Chevrolet right down on the line as Scott Wimmer now tries to take a look to the outside, and I'm not sure he wants to go there.
Well, Wimmer's a little faster right now. What he's trying to do is he's trying to find just a half a car width, either getting into the corner or coming off the corner. If he can get just a half car width out, get a little momentum, oh, we got a car smoking. That's car number 79, Tim Olson, losing oil. Something wrong with that engine as he pulls down to the inside.
Tim Olson from Minnesota having trouble there in his race car. Hopefully he'll be able to get off the racetrack here and not put down any fluid in front of these drivers. You see there Bobby Gill in the number 5 making a move up as he tries to chase down Darrell Brown in number 58, but out front it's all Dick Anderson in number 92.
Yes, Anderson lost a little bit there. Garvey caught him, but Wimmer was the one who really lost. He got out of the throttle. He didn't want to get in the oil and spin. He got way out of the throttle. He lost a lot of ground when that oil came out and when the smoke started.
You know, Larry, we've got drivers competing in this Hooters Cup Series from all over the country. I'm very impressed with Scott Wimmer, one of those drivers coming from Wisconsin. We've seen so many good late model drivers come out of the great state of Wisconsin.
Well, the state of Wisconsin's got some great racetracks up there. They have a lot of pavement racetracks, being in the north where the dirt, you know, doesn't withstand the winter quite as well. So they have a lot of good race car drivers from that part of the country. But look at that. He can barely see. Believe me, inside that race car, it looks exactly like that. They put tape on the windshields. They put tape on their visors. They do all sorts of things, but there's really no way to get rid of that glare.
In a way, you're not only racing all the other guys in the field, but you're racing the racetrack. Gill makes a move to the inside there on number 58, Darrell Brown. He just about pushed him all the way out of turn number 4, and he'll try it this time. Brown says, I'm going to scoot up, let these guys go by, as he takes fast Freddie Query in car number 8 along with him.
He certainly did. He just moved over out of the way. They were pushing on him pretty hard. You can see another slow car down there causing guys to get out of the groove. But he did move over and get out of the way, because he knew if he didn't, they were going to bump him a little harder, and it wouldn't take much to put you around on the racetrack like this.
Absolutely. That car that we saw slow over in turn number 4 is Bill Clemens from Locust Grove, and apparently he is headed to the pit area. We'll try to get an update on him here shortly for you. Again, it's Dick Anderson out front in car number 92. And you know what? It's interesting, Larry, because last year when we came here to Mobile, Anderson had a terrible day, finished 23rd here, but boy, he's got this racetrack figured out so far. Well,
he certainly does have things right here at the start of the race. And as the things change, as the race gets along, and we see Clemens now in the pit area, they're going to have a look underneath looks like the back end of the race car to see if they can see what the problem is. But as this racetrack gets along, as the race goes along, we're going to see whether guys set up the race cars for later in the race or whether the racetrack doesn't change. It's going to be interesting to see how the race cars react as the days goes on.
As we go to different racetracks throughout the country, we see a lot of local drivers coming in. We just saw Gerald Wilkinson in the number 98 going a lap down. I'm not sure that all these guys realize what a great group of talents involved in this Hooters Cup Series.
Well, there is a lot of talent. You can see right there, that's Garvey. He's coming up. Boy, he has caught right up on the back of Anderson all of a sudden. Anderson may be having a problem.
On board here with fast Freddie Query, a two-time winner in the series this year, as he makes his way around some race cars. So Bill Clemens Jr.'s number 15 car has gone to the pit road. Let's get an update from Marty Reed.
Bill Clemens is pulled in the pits. It looks like they've got problems in the rear end. The car is jacked up. They're taking a look underneath. Whatever, it smells disaster as Clemens has shut the motor off, and it looks like this is going to be an extended stay.
Well, thank you, Marty. Oh, we've got a car going off the racetrack over in turns 3 and 4. Not sure who that was.
That was Jimbo Wilson. He's a local driver. It looks like he just got sideways back right off of the racetrack. Wasn't going very fast. Wouldn't have hit a wall very hard anyway. It probably can get restarted back up on the racetrack as he kind of rolls over and disappears very slowly up there. But he broke his back here last year at this racetrack and just now is getting going again, and this is one of the first times out for him.
Well, it's sure good to see Jimbo back behind the wheel of a race car. It looked like he was backing his car into the garage there.
Yeah, you know, it looked like he just put the brakes on. He might have kept it up there, but you know, that slow motion is a little bit deceptive. He was going a little bit faster than it appeared, but he didn't do a lot of damage because he did just kind of roll over the banking.
Well, folks, if you look down here into turn 1, we just had a shot there. You can see there is a big grassy area after you go off of each of the turns here. So Dick Anderson will be your leader in car number 92, and we'll be back with more Hooters Cup racing from Mobile, Alabama in a moment. And welcome back to the Mobile International Raceway and today's running of the Miller Lite 200. The racetrack crew went out to take a look and see if there was some dust or dirt out there on the raceway that may have caused Jimbo Wilson to get sideways. Jimbo now on his way into the pit area there in the Discount Auto Parts number 88.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be a lot of damage. They're going to put a little fuel in it while they're in there. They're going to look and see if they got any tire problems. They're over there at the right-hand side of the car right now. They're going to jack it up, probably put on a couple of new tires on the right side.
So Dick Anderson has pretty much been the leader from the start. Mike Garvey started on the point in the Coors Light Chevrolet, but Anderson's Castrol GTX number 92 took a dive to the inside on lap 5, and he has been very, very tough. We see number 5 there, Bobby Gill, pulling up to the inside. It appears as if maybe Gill will be heading to the pit area. You do have to hold your position here underneath the caution lap. You see where all your drivers are running down through 15th there. Jack Cook in the number 96. we see Marty Lindley in number 86 running 16th. And I'll tell you what, Larry, it appears to me that Gill is going to go to the pit area.
Yes, he's waited as long as he could behind that pace car, but as soon as he got up close to that pit area, he didn't. And again, the unique pit area, it's on the short track, on the quarter mile, on the inside of the racetrack. He pulls in there, he pulls up to his pit stop, makes a pit stop, and then he has to go around the circle to get back on the racetrack.
Well, Bobby Gill has got a flat tire, so obviously he has run over some debris. They are changing that right rear. This is an unscheduled pit stop. You can see the rub mark on his number 5 there. He is back out underway, unscheduled. This is going to be a little bit costly because it means he's going to have to stop again.
Well, thanks, Marty. And I think what he's talking about there, Larry, is fuel mileage. They all have planned on at least one stop here at Mobile.
Right, and they have to go probably up to around 80 or 85 laps. Oh, Anderson gets way high down there in turns 1 and 2. He was outside that lap car. They start side by side. We told you that this racetrack was slick out of that bottom groove. He got up in that second groove and went way high, and just like Garvey, go right on around him.
So Mike Garvey takes the lead in the Coors Light Chevrolet. Now you're looking at the yellow car right there. That's number 70, Dwayne Dempsey. He is not the leader of the race. He was a lap car to the inside of number 92, Dick Anderson. So Dempsey now will be in front of number 40, Mike Garvey, but Garvey is listed as the leader.
Well, these restarts are exactly like they are in many types of racing. The slower cars to the inside, the cars that are on the same lap to the outside. And on this particular racetrack, it makes it very difficult for the lead lap cars because that outside groove is so slick. It cost Anderson the lead and helped Garvey as he got in there, but now then, he can't get around that lap car. And actually, Dwayne Dempsey now has his lap back. He's on the lead lap, and he can stay there until the next yellow.
So Dwayne Dempsey and the crew saying, come on, caution, let me get back around and see if we can get back to racing. You know, it's been a pretty good year for Dwayne Dempsey in the number 70, Larry. He's had a couple of top 5 runs. I think his best finish so far was 7th at Volusia, but here goes Garvey to the inside, taking a look at Dempsey.
Yeah, he got in there. Oh, he shut the door on him. Dempsey shut the door on him, and Garvey couldn't take the chance of sticking his nose in there and getting cut off. Boy, he's getting him a little push down that back straightaway. We do want to mention, too, there's a lot of wind here today. 25-mile-an-hour gust. It's gusting against you going down the back straightaway and with you going into turn 1. So going into turn 1, you're probably going to be running another 5 mile an hour faster than you are actually going into turn 3.
Well, that's a good point. That will definitely affect the handling characteristics of these race cars as they move around number 23, Steve Allison from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma there. Allison down to the inside. And Mike Garvey, once again, is the leader. Marty Reed is caught up with Dick Anderson's crew chief.
Jay, what happened there on the restart? He fell back.
On the restart, he fired off and thought he had a flat tire. It looks like it was just buildup on the tire. We're okay, and we'll be taking that Castro car back to the front.
Thanks, Jay.
Well, thank you, Marty. Back up to the front. It's Mike Garvey in the number 40 car, but here comes Freddie Query in car number 8, putting some pressure on him as they continue to work on Dwayne Dempsey there in car number 70. Mike Garvey looks in his mirror and he sees these other cars coming and he's saying, I got to get past Dempsey. Oh, gives him another shove coming out of 4 and down to the inside goes Garvey. This time I think he's going to make the pass.
Well, that was more than just a wake-up call. That was something that he says, get the heck out of my way. He shoved him hard enough that he loosened him up. The back end got up in the air and got loose. He had to get out of the throttle. That gave Garvey the momentum to get underneath him and get around him going into the next straightaway, which is exactly what he wanted to happen.
Well, we haven't talked much about Mario Goslin yet. In car number 10, he has moved up there into 3rd position. You see him on the right of your frame there as we've just passed lap 39 here. Goslin with 3 good finishes this year. He's had 1 top 10. I know he started the year at Lakeland with an 11th, and I think he backed that up at Volusia County. So he continues to run well and has moved his way up into the top 5 today.
We heard Anderson's mechanic talk about the buildup on the tires. A lot of times on a restart, you'll see the drivers weaving their car around. People used to think they were trying to heat up the tires. That's not actually what they're doing. They're trying to get all that buildup. As we see another pass down here. Oh, close call. As Jimmy Cope goes around Billy Bigley Jr., he just moved him over a little bit, had his nose in there, and he had to give him room. Nice pass.
Jimmy Cope, of course, a former winner here at Mobile. He won the very last race here at Mobile late last year. But look at this, Freddie Query is all the way up under the back bumper of Mike Garvey. Query pushing him down the front straightaway, and we've got a great battle for the front of the pack here as Garvey, Query, Mario Goslin, and there we see the number 54. That is Scott Carlson from Pensacola, Florida. And no, more contact on the front straightaway.
They're really stacked up behind him there. He was going very slow through the corner. Nobody was game enough to go to the outside. Everybody knew it was too slick. They took the chance of losing a lot of positions, so they just decided to push him out of the way. That's exactly what happened.
I'll tell you what, Larry, Steve Allison headed to the pit area right after that. He said, I think I've had enough of this. Let those leaders go.
That was Darrell Brown also in the pit area, so there's several guys making early pit stops for whatever reason. And we got a whale of a battle up front, though, as Freddie Query is really pushing Garvey right now.
So Darrell Brown in the number 58 there in the pit area, just as you mentioned, trouble for the winner from New Smyrna. So Brown goes to victory lane, and today here at Mobile, having trouble. Well, Mike Garvey's not having any trouble out there in the number 40. He is really putting on a show, and Fast Freddie Query, you know, we heard from Jay Murphy just a little bit ago that Dick Anderson would be right back in the hunt. He's in 5th place and moving up on this pack, but I don't think he's catching them as quickly as they thought they might.
Well, and Fast Freddie, looks like the yellow flag has come out. They started slowing down here for whatever reason. The yellow flag is out. Everybody, you can see it down there in the bottom of your screen. Everybody is checked up. But Garvey is really having, there's the problem, it's car number 53, Robert Burrows, who has gone off of the racetrack. And Robert Burrows right now is real thankful they don't have any walls around this racetrack, because he's going to come back on with a relatively unbent up race car and be able to get back in the action, whereas with a wall, I'm sure he'd have been at least in the pit area for a while. So we'll see what happens now as he gets back onto the racetrack and gets going again.
A bad break for Darrell Brown. The right front hub is broken. It's going to cost him a lot of time. Even though the yellow's out right now, he's going to lose several laps.
Well, a tough break for Darrell Brown. We anticipate pit stops at this point in the race. A very likelihood that some of these drivers will pop in and do their service. We're going to take a break here from Mobile, Alabama. It's the Miller Lite 200, and we'll be back with more Hooters Cup racing on ESPN2 in just a moment. And welcome back to Mobile International Raceway for the USAR Hooters Cup Series. And Mike Garvey has been your leader. Dick Anderson in the number 92 also been out there.
Well, they're only about 50 laps into this race, 48, I believe, and they're already going to go in and make their pit stops. They're going to take the chance and get it done early so that they won't have to make any more if no more yellow flags come out. But if they do, then you might see them duck in for tires later on.
Let's go down to Marty Reed right now, who covered these pit stops.
Well, welcome to feeding time at the old fish tank. It is everybody coming in for the stops. It's Freddie Query, then the 40 car of Mike Garvey, and the number 1 of Jimmy Cope. And here comes the 28 of Billy Bigley Jr. And these guys, everybody going after it. Fuel, tires. Looks like Garvey's going to take at least 2 on the right side. Will they make all 4? They want to make this the 1 stop. Garvey's only going to take 2. The right side tires. Now on Bigley, looks like he's going to do it just 2 also. Now Cope, on the other hand, has gone all the way around for 4 tires. So as the action continues, we can also tell you Mario Goslin has made his stop and is back out. This is very, very interesting strategy. Those cars that are deciding to take all 4 tires, Bigley being one of them. Everybody going back out that has already taken 2. Scott Wimmer is still in the pits. There goes Bigley. Wimmer just coming out as well, and there goes Jimmy Cope.
And we saw Harold Fair Jr. in the number 71, and also Nevin Jenkins coming out of the pit area. And boy, that's a congested area.
Yeah, kind of a symphony of air guns in there. You hear it going zing, 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 zing. Kind of a little musical vendetta going on in there, it sounded like.
Well, Scott Carlson stayed out on the racetrack, Larry, and I think that's probably some interesting strategy, because many of these drivers putting on these fresh tires at only lap 50, and we got to go 200 laps.
Well, and he's a local guy. He lives here. He runs here all the time. He was the 1994 champion at this racetrack. So he might have a better idea on what to do as far as tire strategy goes than some of the guys who don't run here all the time. He thinks he can run at least over halfway and maybe farther into the race, use the tires better later on, as we see one car here that's had some problems and is missing the hood. That's car number 53 of Robert Burrows. He's been in there a couple of times, I think. But anyway, it might be his advantage that he stayed out there. Well, it's definitely to his advantage, but it might be something that he knows that about this racetrack the other guys don't.
Well, look here, Mike Garvey in the number 40 Coors Light Chevrolet back into the pit area there, so they're doing some work on that race car, and I'll tell you what, our running order has completely shuffled now after these pit stops.
Yes, it's interesting to see. They were changing the right rear tire on that car, it looked like. They had some sort of a problem. He may have had a tire that he didn't like, or maybe it was flat already, who knows.
So Garvey back on the racetrack there in the number 40. We'll have to go down to Marty Reed, see if we can get an update on what happened to Mike Garvey there. These cars now lining up, getting ready for the restart as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. 30 cars in the field today here at Mobile, Alabama, and again, this is the 4th event of the 1997 Hooters Cup Racing Series. A beautiful afternoon here at Mobile, and look at this crowd.
Yes, a beautiful crowd. It's a big blow for Garvey. He's going to have to go clear to the end of the line, and we've seen it's very difficult to make your way back through this this traffic. So Garvey's got a long, long way to go. It's a big blow for him, as we see Tony Walls now also in the pit area.
So a couple of cars going back into the pit area to get some service, and you're right, again, that just jumbles up the running order even more.
Yes, we have all kinds of cars. Seems like some of the cars did not make the early pit stops, went in a lot later, so it is a problem for some of these guys having to go in this late and fall in at the back of the pack.
So Mike Garvey was the pole sitter. Marty, what happened to him?
Okay, down here with Brian Hastings. Brian, what happened on that right rear? Why'd you have to bring him back in?
He took off. We only had 2 lug nuts on it, so we had to come back in and put 3 more on.
That would be advisable, wouldn't it?
That would. It'll be all right.
Luckily, he didn't lose too much track position, and he's just going to have to fight his way a little bit harder. It's amazing, though, strategy just sometimes doesn't go the way you want it, does it?
No, not exactly, but that Coors Light machine will bring it to the front.
Well, guys, it's now up to the driver. He's got to fight his way back to the front.
Well, thank you, Marty. If anybody can do that, it's certainly Mike Garvey. 6 career wins in this series and 22 career top 5s in 43 races. Well, Scott Carlson will be posted as your leader. Then it's Dick Anderson, Jack Cook, Mike Hovis, and Jamie James in the top 5 here at Mobile. And welcome back to the Miller Lite 200 at Mobile International Raceway. Ready to go back to green flag racing on lap 53. Ray Dunlap along with Larry Rice and Marty Reed bringing you the Hooters Cup racing action today here from Mobile International Raceway. And oh, Dick Anderson with another bad restart as he slides high off at turn 2.
Once again, he got out of that bottom groove, got up into that slick stuff. He did keep the race car straight and got it back down, but you can see the other cars. Once you get up in there, you lose a lot of positions. You can see cars. There's another car way back there in the back as we take a look from our speed shot. Look at this racetrack, though. See that white line? You can't get above that white line. They only paved up to that white line. There's a 7-degree bank up to that. Then after that, it's flat. You get above it with both right side tires, and you're going to hit that wall pretty hard.
Well, I'll tell you what, Larry, you made a good comment a little bit earlier about this driver, the number 54. Scott Carlson has raced at this racetrack a lot, and he is out front right now. Oh, we're under caution. The yellow flag is out, and apparently a car has gone off of the banking over in 3 and 4.
Let's take a look at it on the replay. You can see a classic example of what happens when you get out of that groove. You get way up high. Here it is from the in-car camera. You can see he's got the race car straight. He's trying to get a pin around the corner, but once you're up there, you're over and out.
Car number 39, Mike Hovis, has left the racetrack. Hey, Mike, get back in here. We got more racing to go. We see Dick Anderson now has pulled down to the inside in the Castrol GTX race car. Evidently, Anderson's going to come in and pit.
Yeah, whenever you get down on the inside of the pace car like that, there's every indication that you're going to get into the pit area the next time around, and that's obviously what he wants to do, get in there before anybody else. The bad thing is when you wait until the second time around, as we take a look from Freddie Query's car, then you have to go to the back of the pack. So the guys who made the early pit stops may have the advantage.
We're talking about the advantage of racing on this racetrack and tracks very similar to it. Wayne Niedecken in the number 99 has a lot of experience here at Mobile. Also, the leader of the race, number 54, Scott Carlson. So some of these drivers with the experience on this racetrack very well may just be in the driver's seat today. Well, Dick Anderson in the number 92 has dropped to the inside. We also see Dwayne Dempsey in the number 70, the yellow car there, and another car coming up. So we're going to see more pit stops here.
Yes, we are going to see more pit stops as we see the car coming back onto the racetrack after his excursion off. Evidently, he could not get it restarted, so they had to go out and push him with the push truck to get him going again, but he is under his own power at this point.
So that's Hovis's car coming back onto the racetrack, and that's Anderson's car going to the pit road there. The number 92 going in for some service. Let's go down to Marty Reed and see how the pit stop goes for Dick Anderson.
Well, some of those other cars that have not made pit stops, one of them being Dick Anderson, they're going to go to work on left side tires first, and he has had terrible problems with the tires loading up before the restart, and he has no traction when the green flag drops. So they're going to change the Goodyears on the left side, and they have put the full tank of fuel in. So right now it's just a matter of getting the tires on and getting him back out there before he loses a lap.
So Dick Anderson getting fresh tires, and we'll be back to more racing here at Mobile as a couple of Florida drivers up front. Back in just a moment.
Darrell, this is not where we're supposed to be talking right now. It's too early.
Yeah, it sure is. The right front hub broke on the car, and I believe the car was in super shape to probably win today. And I felt something earlier, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I slowed down, thought it was a tire, and then I knew something was bad wrong. So I come in, and the hub was broke.
Darrell Brown, he'll have to wait till next time to go get him.
Well, thanks, Marty. Tough break for Darrell Brown there. 2 cars listed out of the race right now, Tim Olson and Darrell Brown, so we've still got 28 cars running. Bill Clemens there on the pit road as we go back to green flag racing on lap 59.
Yeah, Mike Garvey takes care of that car for Clemens, so they're not. That's the reason you see his crewman in there climbing around that thing, because he takes care of it all the time. You can see that the 2 lap cars on the inside, Gill and Wilkerson, they had the preferred line. They were on the inside, Olson was on the outside, and they both got the jump on him going into turn 1, and he actually fell into 3rd position on the track, even though he leads the race. Those other 2 cars are lap cars. It's just not a very good position outside of that groove where all the rubber is. And you can see the smoke now coming out of Gill's car. He's had a terrible day. The car wouldn't start. He has a flat tire. If he had a duck, it'd drown.
I'll tell you what, you're right. Bobby Gill from Dalton, Georgia, having a tough day in the Terminal Trucking number 5. Lap 61 here. Oh, a little contact there as Wilkerson got right up on the back bumper of Gill. Now, it's important for these guys to try to stay ahead of the leader. We talk about this all the time, but if the caution would come out, it would help them. So Scott Carlson is saying, I want to get by these guys, but look at the lead that Carlson has opened up there on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place.
Yeah, Gill and Wilkerson both running pretty fast because Carlson having trouble getting around both of them right there. Right there, Wilkerson got a little loose coming off of that corner. He got a little bit high, almost gave Olson or Carlson the room that he needed. Not quite, though.
Bobby Gill, a 3-time winner in this series. He came into this race 7th in points. He's got 12 career top 5s in 29 races, but today a tough break for him here at Mobile.
You can see Wilkerson. The race car is very, very loose. You can see him wiggling around coming off every corner, but he still does not slow up enough to give Carlson enough room to get around him. Carlson tries to go on the outside, but when he gets that corner, he falls right back in line. Now that he gets 2 wheels down in the dirt trying to get under him, he just can't find enough room on either side to get around him.
Man, look at this kid Carlson making the moves. Now some lap traffic going to be in the way, so Carlson takes a look to the inside. They'll go 3 wide down the front straightaway, and Carlson passed the lap car of Wilkerson.
And what happened there, Wilkerson got out of the throttle just for a second as he came up on that lap car because he didn't want to have to go around the outside. When he got out of the throttle, Carlson was in a great position to stay in the throttle, move right in between the 2 of them, and use that advantage to go right on past Wilkerson.
Well, Carlson runs a place called Fast Eddie's Fun Center, Larry. I'll tell you what, he must be taken from that business because he's a Fast Eddie out there on the racetrack.
I bet he does a heck of a business in the springtime down here in Florida. I'll tell you, all those guys down there on spring break.
His wife Denise here in the crowd watching, and along with Brandon and Ashley, his 2 kids. So good run today for Scott Carlson, who is from Pensacola, Florida. He's really shown them how today here at Mobile.
Well, he did not make a pit stop. He has led since lap 50 when everybody else went in the pits, so he still has to make his pit stop. Now, if everybody else also makes another pit stop for tires, he's going to be in a good position. And this is kind of the strategy that he's playing. That's what he's banking on. Everybody else is going to go back in and make another pit stop. If they don't, then he's going to be in trouble because he's going to be at the end of the line.
I'll tell you, I really was surprised that Garvey and some of the other cars, Jimmy Cope and a few of them, went in there on lap 39 or whenever that first round of pit stops was. I thought it might be just a little early in the race.
Well, but it might be good strategy. It's very hard to pass here. So if you go in early and do not have to make another pit stop, you're in good shape come near the end of the race as we see the yellow flag out down there from our flagman.
So Dick Westfall throws the yellow hanky once again here, and apparently another race car has gone off the track. I did not see it. See if we can get a replay here. Oh, Ronnie Sanders in number 18 went flying off the track there. That's in turn 4. He about put her in the drink.
Hey, there's only 2 trees out there, and he came close to hitting both of them. So he was in trouble.
So Ronnie Sanders from Fayetteville, Georgia, getting off course coming out of turns 3 and 4. He's back up and running now, car number 18. He's on the racetrack, but quite a ride for him there. We're going to take another break from Mobile, Alabama. You're watching the Miller Lite 200 here on ESPN2.
Well, Dick Anderson is back into the pits. This time they're going to change the right side rubber. And Dick just not his day. I know that the man who has over 800 short track wins knows that this is probably not going to be another one, as his quest to track down his old friend Dick Trickle is going to have to wait for another week. They are getting the right side put on, topping off the tank one more time, and he's back out underway.
So Anderson goes back out onto the racetrack, and some interesting pit strategy there, Larry.
Well, yes, the first time he came in, he put on left side tires. That time he came in, he put on right side tires. So it was all part of his strategy to only take on 2 tires at a time, maybe make 2 complete pit stops under the yellow. And we'll see how that strategy plays out, whether it's good strategy or bad strategy. He's been having trouble on the restarts with the buildup, and maybe that's why he wanted to do it this way.
So he's got those fresh right side tires on car number 92. Green flag back out from Dick Westfall, and there goes Carlson into a very, very good restart as he jumps back out to the lead and goes past number 98, Gerald Wilkerson.
Right, he wanted to do that. He wanted to beat him into that first corner. Remember the last restart, he got behind Wilkerson and had to follow him for several laps before he finally got around him. So we take a look at Jack Cook and look at Jamie James. He started in 19th position. He's now up to 3rd, so he's doing a nice job so far in this race.
We haven't said much about Jack Cook from Daytona Beach. We said there were 2 Florida drivers up front, but he's doing a whale of a job there, running up front there in the number 96 car. Now here comes Garvey as he makes a look to the inside of number 3, Nevin Jenkins. Not a problem for Garvey as his car is hooked up. That Coors Light Chevrolet is flying through the field, and I'll tell you what, he is really coming on strong. But look, here comes that sun again we talked about, and it looks like it's getting worse for the drivers.
Right, we're taking a look from inside Freddie Query's car. And remember, going down the back straightaway, you got about 25-mile-an-hour headwind. Going down the front straightaways where you got a tailwind that's pushing you into turn 1, even though we've seen more. Oh, we got a big crash up here in turns 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars. I think that was Chad Dawkin who had the hood all bent up. We see Lindley up there. We see Dick Anderson, Mike Hovis. Boy, there were several cars all banged up in that thing.
Well, we caught it a little bit here late as a couple of cars going around. The number 39, as you mentioned there, of Hovis is the one that slammed into Lindley, and there's a lot of damage to Marty's car as we see the radiator is busted on that race car and all those fluids coming down across the racetrack. So a tough break for Marty Lindley, and I think you're right, Chad Dawkin might have been in the middle of that.
Yeah, he was one of them that you can see his hood was bent up there in the front of that crash. These 2 guys obviously got the worst of the damage as Marty Lindley really had his whole front end torn up, and it's going to be tough. Well, he's not going to get that thing fixed today.
Kirby Vacuums, the sponsor on Lindley's car, and boy, I'll tell you what, they got to be disappointed. They had a pretty good run. They were running 13th at the time whenever this crash occurred.
You can see it's going to take a while to clean this up because there's water all over the racetrack. There's pieces all over the racetrack. The track crew got there very, very quickly. And you can see Hovis waving his arms to him. He says maybe I can get this thing at least pushed back down to the pit area to try to get fixed up again. But they're going to get all the pieces picked up first.
And remember, Hovis was one of those cars that went outside the park over there in turns 3 and 4 earlier today. So he's had a couple of wild rides.
Another danger right now is all these cars that are still on the racetrack, they don't want to run over any debris and puncture a tire. There's really nothing you can do about it. You stay as low on the racetrack and miss as many parts as you can.
So Scott Carlson continues to be your leader in the Miller Lite 200. And we'll be back with more Hooters Cup racing in just a moment. Well, a 4-car crash has slowed the race here at Mobile for the 7th time today, and Marty Reed is down in the pit area, and he's caught up with one of the drivers that was right in the middle.
Chad, the car is a mess. You look okay. What happened?
Well, everybody's got into each other down there and just didn't stop quick enough.
This has not been your weekend.
No, that's definitely for sure. Things were looking better in the race for a little while, and then I messed up. It's my fault. I should have slowed down a lot sooner, but I was hoping I could get underneath them when they started to spin, and it didn't work. So, let's see what we can do next time.
Chad Dawkin got a lot of repair work before the next round.
Well, they've got a bit of time to prepare for that, but that's quite a bit of work they have, Larry.
Yeah, they're not going to get those cars fixed. He hit Marty Lindley here. As you can see, both of those cars, they were the 2 most severely damaged in that crash. They hit head-to-head. And Chad said, he said, I just didn't slow down in time. He took full responsibility, and that's kind of nice to hear. A lot of guys won't do that.
Well, also Mike Hovis and Steve Allison were involved in that crash, and we see the number 81 of Tony Walls now heading to the pit area, so it appears maybe he has a bit of damage on that one also. Let's go down to Marty Reed and see if we can find out what happened to Marty Lindley.
Marty, I hate to be talking to you this way, but take us through what happened.
I just on that inside of a slower car, and spotter didn't say nothing. I mean, he just come right down into right in front of my car, and it turned me sideways, and just everybody hit me from behind.
It looks so bad that even if they get it repaired with as many laps as we got, it's going to take longer than we have time allowed. You're done to the day, aren't you?
We're done for today.
That's too bad. We'll see you next time.
So Marty Lindley came into this race 13th in the points, but he's going to leave here a lot worse than that after a crash has taken him out of competition here in the Miller Lite 200. 79 laps complete. We've got more racing coming your way from Mobile, Alabama. Don't go away. And welcome back to the Miller Lite 200. Ray Dunlap along with Larry Rice and Marty Reed bringing you the action today from Mobile International Raceway. It's a half-mile racetrack, and Scott Carlson is your race leader. Carlson putting on a pretty good show today for the fans here at Mobile.
Well, he's a local guy, and he's a favorite here, obviously, from all the local fans, and he has done a nice job. He has not made a pit stop. That's really helped him stay up front, while Bobby Gill and some of the other guys have been in the pits and put them a lap down. Gill's just had all sorts of trouble, but he's been pretty fast while he's been on the racetrack.
Dick Anderson also there in the number 92. We saw in that last four-car crash, Anderson went high to the outside, and throughout the day, Marty has documented the tire trouble that Anderson's had. You see him swerving back and forth, try to get rid of that buildup as we're about to go back to green flag racing.
Well, he's got an advantage this time. He's on the bottom. There won't be as much buildup in the bottom groove. Really, all the marbles and all that rubber are up in that second groove, so the guys on that outside lane, the guys on the lead lap, are the ones that have more of a problem with the buildup than the lap cars do on the inside.
Ready to go back to green. Bobby Gill down to the inside, and on the outside it's Carlson. Here we go. The restart is out, and the green flag flies, and Carlson gets another big jump.
He certainly does. He gets a big jump, gets into that corner first, and look back behind him. Those two lap cars really have pulled away from everybody else. Everybody who's chasing Carlson got a bad start, and they're back 3 or 4 cars deep behind the lap cars.
Now, as we documented on that last pit stop, Anderson came in for right side tires this time. We'll see if that helps him out and if he can get that car dialed in to run a little bit better than it was when he had those fresh left side tires.
Yeah, it should make a big difference on the racetrack, but really the big thing here is getting the race car set up and so it runs around the bottom of the racetrack. It's just too slick to get high. We've seen several guys try to get up there, try to make passes. Every time they do, they slip and slide and have all sorts of trouble.
Well, Larry, we got a good look there from the speed shot down the front straightaway again at just how fast these race cars are going. They qualified at 102 miles an hour, but that's the average around this track. Coming down the front straightaway, they're doing about 115.
They certainly are. Oh, we got 2 cars together. That's the 6th car. That's Jamie James is one of them, and the other car is Derek Kelly. Those guys are running, I think, 3rd and 4th, and they got together. Looked like Kelly tried to get under Jamie James. Both those guys started deep in the field, 19th and 24th, and when Jamie James came down, he just clipped the front end of Kelly, and around he went.
Yeah, and what a good run these two drivers have been having. As you said, they moved up into the top 10 there, so a tough break as Jamie James goes out of the ballpark. He's back on the track right now, and I guess one of the things that we really need to document about all these different drivers in this series is where they came from. Our Steve Johnson takes a look at the background of Jamie James.
With racing in his blood, Louisiana's raging Cajun, Jamie James, made the transition this year from being a world-class motorcycle competitor to the 4-wheel variety with the Hooters Cup.
For one thing, it's a very tough series, and you got to really be getting it on in one of these cars to even get in these shows, you know. And it's been pretty tough, just a lot to learn. A lot of different components affect the cars differently, and learning what you're looking for in that race car to go fast is being the most difficult thing. You're dealing with guys that have an awful lot of experience, and you know, I have a new team, new driver, and thank goodness, you know, I have a lot of people that talk to me and help me with it. But it's just a lot to learn, you know.
Jamie had a spectacular year in 1989, winning both the AMA Superbike and 750 Supersport titles for Suzuki.
Well, that was just a really good year for me. You know, I don't think I could ever do that again. And it just, things worked out well. I had really good equipment. And Scott Russell and I were pushing each other very hard, and it just made us both get better. And I had a little luck on my side and wind up winning, you know, 4 or 5 championships.
As recently as 1994, James won the 600 Supersport Championship, giving him his 4th AMA national title. But now 36 years old, and after 12 years of professional motorcycle racing, Jamie says it's time to move on.
I'd always been interested in car racing, and motorcycle racing has enabled me to get a chance at it. So it was time. I have to stay with this no matter what, and you know, I've got a lot of commitment to it and have a lot of people that's helping me with it, and I don't want to let anybody down. I'm going to give it my best shot.
For the Hooters Cup on ESPN2, I'm Steve Johnson.
And look at Freddie Query. He got banged up in that thing, too.
And quite a bit of damage there to Freddie Query's car as we saw the in-car replay as he got involved in that crash that took Jamie James outside the ballpark.
Yeah, and that was Ronnie Sanders he ran into. Sanders checked up, and he hit him. The second time is what did all the damage, though.
Well, Freddie Query has led 297 laps in the first 3 races this year, and he's headed to the pits.
The crew's jumping in there. They're going to take the hood off of that thing. So take a look underneath. That's all they're going to do. They're going to take the hood off, send him right back out so he doesn't lose any time. Let's see if Marty can get a word with this crew.
Okay, Alex, what's he saying on the radio and how much damage?
Well, we've been running good all day. We just got a little bang up down here, and front end's tore pretty good. We don't have the radiator problem. Looks like we'll be able to make it to the end.
Well, Freddie Query is one of just 2 drivers who's completed 100% of the laps here in 1997. Scott Carlson continues to be your leader here at Mobile. And welcome back to the Miller Lite 200 from Mobile International Raceway. We're about ready to go back to green flag racing with the USAR Hooters Cup Series. The field is lining up. 26 cars still in the race. Here we go. Lap 92, and the green flag is back out.
And once again, Carlson gets a nice run off there. And look at Dick Anderson. Once again, he goes way high and loses at least 1, maybe 2 spots. I don't know what happens to him under the yellow, but obviously something goes wrong with that race car, and he gets a bad start. And until the tires get warmed up, he loses a couple spots. He only lost 1 that time. He did better than normal.
Hey, Marty Reed, what's wrong with Derek Kelly?
Tough problems for Derek Kelly. He was having such a good run, but the 32-year-old in the pits now after all that contact, and he has got literally water steaming out of this radiator as they've got all kinds of problems, and it looks like he is going to lose at least 4 or 5 laps.
Boy, what a frustrating situation for Derek Kelly. They had a pretty good run a couple of weeks ago at New Smyrna, top 10 finish there, but doesn't look that good today. We're under yellow here at Mobile, and I'm not sure what the situation is, Larry.
Well, I'm not sure whether there's debris on the racetrack or whether somebody's gone off one of the ends and we just can't find him with our cameras. That happens sometimes if you're not watching right exactly at the car when it goes off the end. You can't see, and it looks like we saw somebody down there just trying to get back on the racetrack as they switch cameras.
Amazing how these cars can get off the turns and go that far down in the ditch. We couldn't even see who it was. It appears that it may be number 10, Mario Goslin, that has gone off the racetrack. We'll give you an update on that. But here's an important factor about this caution. Number 5, Bobby Gill, has gotten his lap back.
Just before we went down to talk to Marty that last time, we saw him get around Carlson. So he is back on the lead lap, and that could be an important factor. He's been trying to do that for about the last 3 yellows. He finally got around him under the green, so that means he's got to be pretty quick.
Bobby Gill had a great start to the season. They finished 2nd down at Lakeland, Florida, and then things went all haywire for him as they had a 29th place finish at Volusia, back on track somewhat with another top 10 at New Smyrna, and trying to get back into the points race here today here at Mobile. This is the 4th event, and there comes Mario Goslin in the Jackaroo car back onto the racetrack. He had to get a pretty good run to get up that hill.
Yeah, he was having all kinds of troubles getting up the hill and getting back in there, and he's going to pull right down into the pit area and do some work on that thing. He might have a flat tire after that little excursion.
And that may be what caused him to go off the racetrack. It appears there is a flat tire as that car leaning somewhat to the right side. We'll go down to the pit area right now and check in with Marty Reed and get an update on Mario Goslin's situation in the Jackaroo car.
Well, Mario Goslin has made it back to the pits. A flat right front tire, some damage on the right front quarter panel. Obviously going to lose several laps. What was a promising day to begin with for Mario has really gone down the tubes right now.
And Larry, this is a good example of just how your fortunes can change. Last year in 1996, Mario Gosling led 261 laps, but this year we haven't seen him at the front of the field yet.
Now, he started off and he got up there in about 20, 25 laps. He was up near the front, and then all of a sudden something went wrong, and boy, he's been battling his way all the rest of the day, and really has not been near the front since that point.
Well, our last caution lasted 3 laps, and we're ready to go back to green right now. Carlson leads him down to the green flag, but look who has reared his head into this race, the #1 Miller Lite car of Jimmy Cope.
Yeah, Jimmy Cope has come back really strong. He made that early pit stop, go way back in the field because he did make an early pit stop, but as the race has gone along and more people have gone in the pits, he's passed a few guys. Few haven't gotten in crashes. Now then he's right back up in the thick of things.
Well, again, folks, if you're just joining us, we're at Mobile International Raceway. It's a half-mile racetrack and a very interesting configuration. No walls around the outside of this track except on the front stretch. We've had quite a few cars going off the racing surface today, and it has appeared to be more or less a one-groove racetrack as we see all these cars hugging down to the inside. We're at lap 99 here, and Scott Carlson in the number 54 car has really been a dominant force in today's race. And as he comes down the front straightaway right now, he will get the crossed flags from Dick Westfall, and Scott Carlson picks up $1,000 from Royal Purple Lubricants, as he is now our halfway leader, the first time that he has led the halfway in Hooters Cup racing.
Well, of course, that Royal Purple Award is something that's ongoing, and I'll tell you what, he's lucky to be there because Cope right now is giving him everything that he wants. Looks like Carlson's tires, after running halfway on the same set of tires, are giving him a little bit of a problem. He's real loose getting through the corners right now, and when he gets that thing wiggling around a little bit, Cope really is all over him.
Well, it just goes to show you about the diversity in this series. We are in the 4th event of 1997, and we've had 4 different halfway leaders. Derek Kelly, Freddie Query, Darrell Brown, and now Scott Carlson. So a lot of different drivers showing their stuff here in the USAR Hooters Cup Series.
Yes, and right now I think that Carlson is probably hoping for a yellow flag. I think on the next yellow he will make his pit stop because he can tell right now that Cope is faster than he is, and he's all over him, so he's going to want to go in and get that set of tires that he's allowed so that he can pick back up and then maybe gain some speed, because Cope really is working now, especially getting off the corner. Look at this. He gets a real good run, gets down real low, can't quite get enough momentum, sticks those tires on the left side, but can't quite get under him, but he is definitely quicker off the corner.
Well, that time off 4, I think Cope actually had his left tire off the racetrack, so he has given him a good run for it. Scott Carlson, your leader at the halfway today here at Mobile. We're going to take a short break, back with more racing right after this. Welcome back to Mobile, Alabama in the Miller Lite 200. It's the Hooters Cup Series here on ESPN2. Glad you could join us. Lots of great racing going on the track right now. We see Mike Garvey in the Coors Light number 40 making a move now. He goes to the inside of Anderson. No, that's Cook, Jack Cook in the number 96. And there goes Garvey, makes the move. A little pressure there. Side-by-side racing as they come off turn 2, and Garvey's going to take the position.
Yeah, that was a classic example of what you don't want to do when you're lapping traffic. Cook's run a great race all race long, but that time he got caught on the outside of the lap traffic, and he gave Garvey the momentum to get a run off the corner down there in the groove where all the rubber is, and he just shot by both of them going into turn 3.
Jack Cook from Daytona Beach, Florida. Again, a great run for him today. We see there Bill Clemens Jr. back into the race. He was one of those cars that had trouble earlier, but he is a lap car now and down to the inside.
And you can see that Carlson, even though he's faster, he pulled right down behind him. He did not go on the outside of him through the corner, waited until he was coming off the corner, and then went around him. It's just too slick out there to take the chance on losing the car and get sideways and let somebody else get around you.
Yeah, that's a good call, Larry. Jimmy Cope in the number 1 Miller Lite car is moved up and giving Carlson some pressure. We just saw Scott Wimmer in the screen a bit there. He was having a pretty good run today, and there's Anderson in the number 92 back into the fray here. So some cars coming on strong in the middle stages of today's race.
Anderson's been pretty fast all race long. He's had terrible restarts that have put him way behind, but other than that, he's been pretty fast pretty much the whole race. Carlson, though, has been doing a nice job hanging on. I thought the tires were giving up on him, but right now, after he got them warmed up, he seems to be faster than he was. Oh, there's some debris over there on the racetrack. You can see on the right side, there was something laying out there on the racetrack, and it's brought out the yellow flag.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am very impressed with Scott Carlson in the number 54. He is running a good race today. We expect to see Jimmy Cope up front. He won the race last year here at Mobile. You certainly expect to see Dick Anderson up front. I mean, he won 5 races back in 1996, so you figure he's going to be a front runner. But this young kid here in number 54, that Advanced Construction Monte Carlo, really, really running well.
Well, it's his home track, so he does have somewhat of an advantage. I mean, especially after the sealer's put on, I'm assuming that it's a little bit different setup than it would be if you just came here and ran every week without the sealer. And he may have had a chance to do some testing here where the other guys didn't. But he is doing a nice job. That's not to take anything away from him.
I'll tell you, Larry, one thing we might want to make note for the viewers, a couple of cars that aren't in the race today. Jody Ridley and Gary Ballou, both of those drivers were involved in a big crash at the first race of the season down in Lakeland, Florida, but they've run probably 200 races here at Mobile and as well as at Pensacola, 2 tracks that are very similar, and I was surprised not to see those 2 here because they would certainly be local favorites.
Yes, they would be, and they may be back some of these days. I think they're probably looking for some sponsorship money. They may have had some problems getting the cars fixed or whatever. But you can see right now they're all jockeying for position, trying to get ready for this restart. Some of those lap cars actually went around the outside of our leaders, and I don't think they took too well to that.
Well, some of the cars coming down to the inside, and Scott Carlson stays out there on the racetrack. We see Nevin Jenkins there in the number 3 car just coming out of the pits. When we went to the break last time, you had speculated that you thought it might be pit stop time for Carlson. And, well, wait, look, here he goes. He's moving down to the inside, and the yellow is still out, so we may see Carlson go to the pits.
Well, I think we're going to see him go in. He's past the halfway point. He's not as fast as he was, so I think he's going to try to go in there.
Well, let's go down to Marty Reed and get the call on Scott Carlson.
For Scott Carlson, this has been a picture-perfect first half. He got the halfway money. This is his home track, the 94 track champion here in late model. He has 35 wins here at Mobile. He'd like to make his first Hooters Cup win today. They're changing the right side rubber right now, and then they've got the fuel topped off already. He told us before the race, you need a lot of patience. Well, now he's going to be at the back of this long line, and we'll see if he can fight his way back out.
Well, I'll tell you, Larry, right now I think the key word for Scott Carlson has to be patience as we go back to green.
Well, it certainly does. He's going to come back out there. He's going to be at the end of the pack. He knows the racetrack, though. He's very fast at this racetrack, but he's going to have to be patient and just work his way back up there slowly but surely.
Well, there are 26 cars remaining on the racetrack, and Scott Carlson will go to the back of the pack here as he has his pit stop, fresh tires on that race car. And we're just moments away from the restart here of the Miller Lite 200. The field is forming up in turn number 4. Carlson was the leader last lap by. He won't be the next time by. And we'll be back with more racing from Mobile. And welcome back to the Miller Lite 200. Ray Dunlap along with Larry Rice and Marty Reed bringing you today's Hooters Cup action here on the Deuce. We're about ready to go back to the restart at lap 115. 4 laps the distance of that last caution, and Jimmy Cope puts the hammer down the front straightaway, and what a big hole shot he got.
Boy, he got a terrific start on that thing. He held back just a little bit and really got on the throttle. He caught the inside car by surprise and just jumped out in front of everybody. So now he's got a nice lead with a couple lap cars in between him and second place.
Jimmy Cope is 39 years old from St. Petersburg, Florida, and as we've mentioned in the show, he won this race at Mobile 1 year ago, and oh boy, a car going very, very sideways over there. That's Dick Anderson in the number 92.
Yeah, Dick Anderson's had all kinds of trouble on those restarts. That time he was on the inside lane, and you can still see that car sliding around down there. So obviously his car is not very good when the tires are cold. And look at this. We see in the pit area, that's Mike Garvey.
Oh boy, what a tough break for Garvey from Swanee, Georgia, in the car number 40, the Coors Lite Chevrolet. They're having trouble down there. Oh boy, and this is a green flag pit stop. That's going to cost him dearly. Marty, what's going on down there in the Garvey pit area?
Well, Mike Garvey is into the pits. He radioed into Brian Hastings. He thinks the rear end is gone. The crew already underneath, frantically trying to work and make the repair, see if they they can get him back out to at least score some points, because the championship is what he has been devoted to this year. And as he told me before today, if you have one race where you finish well back, he has got all kinds of problems trying to catch up with the man in the points lead.
And of course, Marty, that is Freddie Query on top of his 2 wins in 1997, coming into this race as the point leader. You know, last year, Mike Garvey was also chasing Freddie Query around the racetrack. He had led 605 laps, that's Garvey, but that was second to Freddie Query. So Mike Garvey knows what it's like to chase the driver of that car number 8, Freddie Query.
That is Freddie Query. His car looks a little worse for wear and tear. There's he's chasing Wimmer, but obviously the race car is still fast. And look right behind him, that's Bobby Gill. So some of the guys that have had a few problems here in this race so far, still on the racetrack, still running very quick, and are going to be in contention, it looks like, before this race is over.
Well, we see Wimmer there in the car number 25. He is, of course, the leading rookie candidate in 1997. And Dwayne Dempsey there in the yellow car number 70, right in front of Wimmer. Then Query's in the car number 8 with the bent-up hood, or actually no hood there now, and the number 5 of Gill. And I'll tell you what, Larry, this is very important to keep our eye here on Bobby Gill, a guy who was running terrible at the first part of the race, but all of a sudden he's back in it.
Well, I spoke too soon. You know, the car wouldn't start at the beginning, then he had oil coming out, and then he had to go in and replace a flat tire, and I said he was having no luck at all. It looks to me like maybe his luck is changing, because the longer this race goes, the faster he seems to be, and the further up in the field he moves as we ride along here with Freddie Query.
Nice in-car shot here from Freddie Query in the car number 8. Once again, Query's car with no sponsorship on it, although he's won 2 races in 1997. The guy with a good sponsorship, that's Jimmy Cope. Miller Lite is the sponsorship on his car number 1, and Cope is now out in front of the field and doing a good job leading this race. We see Wimmer, Query, and Gill right behind the leader.
And Carlson running in 5th, so those 5 guys still running very well. Look at Scott Wimmer there. You can see from that in-car camera of Query's a while ago, he's trying to sneak under the 70 car there of Dwayne Dempsey. He just can't quite get far enough under him down the straightaway to make that pass. Dempsey's a lap car, but he's holding up 2nd, 3rd, and 4th and giving them, really giving the car of Bobby or Jimmy Cope a big chance to pull away from them all.
Well, you know, we talked about the sealer on this racetrack, Larry, and the first 50, maybe 70 laps, it looked like it was just about like riding on ice, but some rubber's getting laid down in that groove now, and a few of these cars starting to venture out to that outside row.
Well, that's what they need. They just need to move that groove out ever so slightly. It's about 1.5 cars. You can see right there very, very clearly. There's rubber clear out to that first white line, but above that white line, there's nothing. It's about 1.5 cars wide. It really needs to be another half car width wide before you can have side-by-side racing.
Well, Scott Wimmer has continued to improve in that McDonald's race car. He finished 12th at Lakeland, then he got 19th at Volusia, but last week at New Smyrna, he had a 6th place finish, so he has been getting better and better every race and running in the top 5 today. This rookie from Wausau, Wisconsin. And oh, he's putting some pressure on Dempsey that time down the front straightaway, and they all go to the outside of Dwayne.
But see, what happened right there was the 8-car Freddie Query. He took advantage of that. Dempsey got out of the throttle, and poor Wimmer was caught on the inside. He had to back out, and Query took big advantage of it, went right on around the outside. He's very lucky that Bobby Gill didn't do the same thing, because he had a run on him too.
Over $27,000 Freddie Query has won in the first 3 races of 1997. And you know, if you're just joining us for the first time here on the Hooters Cup Series, you have to understand there is a lot of money up for grabs in 1997.
Yeah, I'm sure that Freddie Query is very happy the Hooters Cup people started this series, because he's done a very good job. He's raced hard. He's earned what he's got. I mean, he hasn't made everybody on the racetrack happy. He's bumped into a few guys. We've talked to a few of the people that didn't think he played quite the way they would like him to do it. But I'll tell you, everything he's done, I think, he's just raced real hard to get what he's earned, and I think he's earned every bit of it.
Well, he won at Lakeland, he won at Volusia, and a 4th place at New Smyrna, and again on the top 5 chart today here. The number 92 car of Anderson appears to have slowed there.
Oh, there's Carlson. He's off of the racetrack. He slid off of the racetrack. He must have got caught out, gotten that slick stuff, slid off of turns 1 and 2, and now he's back down heading for back to get in line with everybody else.
Well, that may be why Dick Anderson checked up coming out of turn 2, is because Carlson slid off.
Oh, look at this!
Oh, and Carlson slides off the racetrack again!
Under the yellow.
Unbelievable.
Well, Mike, what started out as a great day and looked pretty promising has really gone down the drain.
Yeah, I think we broke a transmission or something in the rear end. We've got no power right now. I mean, it took a shift and just nothing happened. It just stripped something. We're trying to figure out what it was. We thought it was quick change gears, but it wasn't. I tell you, it's a shame. The Coors Light Monte Carlo was running good. We were sitting right where we wanted to be, but we're not where we want to be right now.
Mike Garvey, not happy about this one.
Well, Mike Garvey's the all-time leader in top 5s with 22 in the Hooters Cup division. We'll be right back to Mobile. Well, Jimmy Cope has become the 4th leader in today's Hooters Cup race, and Marty Reed is standing by with his crew chief.
Eddie, so far, things looking like they're going your way. What's he saying on the radio?
Well, it's Miller Lite Chevrolet. Run good all weekend. We had a little problem qualifying there, but we worked on it, got a little better, and everything goes good. I think we'll be able to put this one in the bag.
Well, thank you, Marty. We see Mike Garvey's Coors Light Chevrolet is in the bag, but not the kind of bag he'd like to have seen. It is in the pit area, and it appears that Garvey is done for the day.
Yeah, it's a tough break for him. They stripped the rear end, they did something with the gears, and he's going to be out, not get a run anymore. But take a look at Freddie Query. He's done a heck of a job today. He was way back in the pack at one point. Didn't look like he had a prairie. Had to come in, take the hood off of that thing, but he's really right back in the pedal right now, up in 2nd place.
Absolutely. Fast Freddie Query in the hunt again today here at Mobile. Lap 138. Dick Westfall gives him the green, and Cope gets another outstanding jump. And boy, there appears to be a good bit of damage to Mario Goslin's car. The number 10 Jackaroo entry goes high over in turn number 2, and he has mixed it up with somebody on the front end of that race car.
Well, you can see him go way high in there. He got almost off of the racetrack, and at the same time, the 8 car, Freddie Query, he was trying to get down to that inside line, and while he was trying to do that, he had to fall in behind about 3 or 4 lap cars. And what this does, it gives Jimmy Cope a huge margin that it's going to be tough to overcome until the next yellow flag and they get bunched up again.
Well, Jimmy Cope is out front for the 2nd time. In 1997, he led 30 laps at New Smyrna just a few weeks ago, and he had won the pole down there. So this is a team that is really coming together in the early stages of 1997.
And the 54 car, of course, is Carlson. He's now a lap down after his excursion off the racetrack on both ends of the racetrack, as a matter of fact. But you can see he's still very fast. He knows this racetrack. He's got the race car set up very well. He's just had a couple of bad breaks to put him in. And there's a good look at Goslin's car. Boy, it is really banged up. The right front corner is really tore up on it.
He is really taking a shot from somebody or something out there on the racetrack. You know, Larry, I was really surprised to see that move that Carlson made out there on the racetrack. I don't know exactly what set up the situation in turns 1 that put him off the racetrack, but as he was heading into the pits, he gunned her up on the high side of the racetrack and went off again, and I just didn't think that a driver of his caliber would do that.
Well, it certainly proves that it's much slicker up there than anybody realized, including him. It's very slick.
No doubt about it. Well, Bobby Gill is back in the hunt in the terminal trucking entry as he tries to chase down Jimmy Cope in the Miller Lite car number 1. And boy, I'll tell you what, the sun is still a factor on the racetrack.
To give you an idea just how tough it is for the drivers heading down the front straightaway, pretend you're in the cockpit right now and you're heading down the backstretch. You can see me very well, right? But watch what happens as you come around and now you go into the front straightaway and everything becomes a blur. The sun just is very tough right now.
And Larry Rice, you've had to deal with that driving on the inside of the race cars, and there's really not a lot you can do.
No, there isn't, and it's particularly bad in the race car where you've got that Lexan, that windshield that actually reflects it off. It makes it look worse even than it was when you're looking at that camera shot right there. From inside those cars, it's really brutal to try to see, and you do everything you can. You tape up the windshield, you tape up your visors, but still, it's very difficult to see heading into a corner.
Well, folks, you are watching the USAR Hooters Cup Series here on ESPN2. Glad to have you with us. Ray Dunlap, along with Larry Rice and Marty Reed, bringing you the broadcast today. Out front right now, Jimmy Cope in the number 1 Miller Lite race car. There's Jimmy on the left side of your screen. He's your leader with Bobby Gill, Freddie Query, Scott Wimmer, and Billy Bigley all in the top 5. We haven't said much about Wayne Niedecken. in car number 99. He's had a good run today, as well as Harold Fair Jr. So a few of these drivers back there in the top 10 we haven't talked about a lot.
Right, and that doesn't mean they haven't run. We haven't seen them very much, but they have run nice, clean races, and that's really what you have to do. If you run clean, you keep your nose clean during this event, you're going to finish up in the top 10, and that's all some of these guys are looking at, especially on a racetrack that's as tough to pass on as this one is.
This is the Mobile International Raceway, a half-mile racetrack, and throughout the season we'll be bringing you broadcasts from a lot of different venues. We'll be going to the Lakeland International Speedway, or the USA International Speedway, I should say, at Lakeland. We'll be at the Milwaukee Mile, the biggest racetrack that these cars will be on. And folks, if you are around the Rougemont, North Carolina area, you're going to want to get your tickets for the Orange County Speedway. The Hooters Cup Series will be coming up there April 12th, so give them a call and get yourself a ticket to see some great racing. And we'll be bringing you lots more races throughout the season. 11 of the 18 events will be seen right here on ESPN2.
Well, the Rougemont racetrack's got a lot of history. It's a nice little racetrack, short, tight, and very, very competitive. Right now, though, it looks like Jimmy Cope is not making this race very competitive, as he has just walked away. He's been very fortunate. He gets good brakes on the restarts and gets those lap cars between himself and the cars in second, third place of Freddie Query right there, and then he can just walk away while those guys are back there battling, trying to get through traffic.
Well, Cope's done a real good job throughout the season. Coming into this race, he was 5th in points. Back in 1986, he had 8 top 10s, so this guy knows how to get around the racetracks. But the one track that he's won on is right here at Mobile International Raceway, and he continues to be the leader. We'll be back with more racing after these messages. Welcome back to Mobile International Raceway for the Miller Lite 200 for the Hooters Cup Series. At the drop of the green flag, Mike Garvey was out front in the Coors Light Chevrolet number 40, but it wasn't long before he got a big challenge from Dick Anderson in the number 92 Castrol GTX car. But Anderson has not been able to keep his sights set on this guy. Garvey, of course, is out of the race at this point, so there are just 20 cars running. Bobby Gill has made the miracle comeback of the day.
Unbelievable. He has done a terrific job. He's been very persistent. He's been very, very consistent with everything that he's done today. He didn't let anything fluster him. When the thing didn't start, he didn't get mad. He didn't go out there and try to do things that he wasn't capable of doing. It's very impressive to see the guy go through that many adversities, having at least 3 different things go wrong with the race car, and still be able to come back and not only run, but run competitively and run in second place right now.
Well, Billy Bigley Jr. has moved up to 5th place, but out front it continues to be number 1, Jimmy Cope, and he appears to have this racetrack pretty well figured out. I'll tell you, Larry, I thought that the number 54 was going to give him a really good run there, as well as he did in the first half of the race. Scott Carlson from Pensacola, Florida, really put on a good show, but he's nowhere to be seen now.
Well, track position is everything in this particular race. Not only do you have to have a fast race car, but you have to have track position. You hear him talk a lot about that in all the NASCAR races, but believe me, here with a racetrack that is is such a one-groove racetrack, it's very important. You know, Cope did a smart thing. He was one of those guys that pitted up there on, I think, lap 38 or 39. He was one of the first guys back out, and that's really helped him maintain that track advantage. On the other hand, a guy like Bobby Gill has been in the pits 2 or 3 times. He lost a lot of track position and still has been able to catch on as we take a look at the people that are already out of the race.
Quite a few cars have retired. We saw Hovis and Lindley in that big crash over in turn number 1. Tim Olson, one of the first cars out of the race, as he lost a motor. So Jimmy Cope continues to lead here at Lakeland. I'll tell you, there really has only been one race so far this season that's been a problem for Cope, and that was at Volusia County, where he finished 20th. But the rest of these races, he's really done well.
Well, you know, the guys that are consistent, obviously, are going to be the guys that have a chance to win at the end. And I think everybody that comes here tries to be very consistent. They try to run smart. They try to run fast. They try to be around at the end. Cope has done a nice job of that. He's done a nice job of it today. He's been very patient in traffic, as he is being right here. He didn't try to muscle his way through there, muscle his way under somebody. He takes his time, he waits on the opportunity, and when it comes, then he goes on around. Or sometimes he did make way at least once today. We remember that when he earlier, but right there, he was very patient. And a lot of these guys are showing a lot of courtesy, too. Right there, the 70 car, Dwayne Dempsey, he pulled down and let him go by.
Well, yeah, and that's a nice move of Dwayne Dempsey to do that. He knows how fast Jimmy Cope is, no question about that. Another driver, when you're talking about consistency, though, we have to go back and reflect on Freddie Query. Query got caught up in that accident down in turn 1, and a lot of drivers would have just tried to drive right on through that, and it probably would have damaged their car more. Freddie backed out, knew what to do, and here he is running in the top 5 once again in 1997.
Right, and that 18 car right there in front of Bobby Gill right now, that's the car that Query hit on that little accident down there. He's also back out on the racetrack, but he also is a lap or so down. Right now, it looks like Gill having a lot of trouble. Oh, he's going to try that outside groove, but you can see right there, there's just no traction to get off of the corner. That's the big problem. You can maybe get in the first half, but the second half is real slow.
As Gill went to the outside of Ronnie Sanders there, the two cars made a bit of contact, and it appears that the right rear tire on Sanders' car is smoking. If we can get a look at it there as they go down into the turn, the last time coming off of turn number 2, I saw a good bit of smoke coming out of Ronnie Sanders, number 18.
Yes, and obviously that means that your tire's rubbing on a fender, and if that happens, it's not going to last too long because these tires don't have that much rubber on them. Most of them have any place from 3 to 6 30-seconds on them.
There's Freddie Query, Fast Freddie, in number 8 from Mooresville, North Carolina, Dale Earnhardt's neighbor. And Query, as we've mentioned, won the first 2 races of this season, comes into the race tonight with the point lead, and again in the top 5. So he is on his way to another consistent finish if he can hold on as he's doing right now on the racetrack.
You know, a lot of people think, gosh, it'd be disconcerting to drive around there without the hood on there, but these guys are so focused on what they're doing. They're thinking so much about driving the racetrack and driving against the other drivers that a little thing like the hood being gone or a little flapping piece of metal up there, that's the least of their worries. They're very, very focused on doing their job out on that racetrack.
Number 81, Tony Walls from Albertville, Alabama there, just got passed once again by Jimmy Cope. Back in 96, he had the pole at Birmingham and at 411 Speedway. So Tony Walls, a driver that many of you may have heard quite a bit about in this Hooters Cup Series, 11th in points coming into today's race.
Yeah, and you can see that he's pretty quick out there on the racetrack. He's keeping right up with Cope, but he's just got himself in a position to get a lap or so down, and now then he's going to have to just kind of follow and hope and do the best he can towards the end of the race. Oh, he gets a nose underneath the Cope right there. Thought he had the opportunity, but I think spinning the leader would not be a good idea at this point.
No, I don't think so. I agree with you there. Larry Rice, Ray Dunlap, and Marty Reed bringing you today's broadcast. Hope you're enjoying the Hooters Cup Series. We've got lots of racing throughout the season, and we'll be back with the exciting finish of this Miller Lite 200 from Mobile. And welcome back to the 4th event of 1997 for the USAR Hooters Cup Series. Jimmy Cope is out front as he has been for the last 45 laps from St. Petersburg, Florida, the Miller Lite number 1, and he is looking pretty tough, Larry Rice.
Boy, he has looked tough for this last half of the race. I think he came in here with good strategy. That's what's really paid off for him. He, along with a lot of the other guys, made that very early pit stop we've alluded to a couple of times. But he's the one that had the race car set up to go along with it. And there you could just barely get a glimpse of what the sun looks like going into it as we ride along here in the car of Freddie Query's. But, you know, he's made it pay off. He made his strategy pay off, and he's done a great job so far.
Well, we've had 4 different leaders today. Jimmy Cope's up front right now. It was Scott Carlson in the number 54, Dick Anderson in the Castrol GTX number 92, and Mike Garvey in the number 40, but Garvey is out of the race.
Look at there, Bigby got around on that lap car. He was right behind Freddie Query, and the same thing we saw happen earlier. Query tried to go around the outside, right in the middle of the corner. He had to get out of the throttle. Bigby, he was down there in the middle of the racetrack. He got a nice run right in the groove and went right on around Freddie Query. So the traffic has made a difference, and in that case, it really worked to Query's disadvantage.
Well, the number 15 that they split there on the backstretch is Bill Clemens Jr., and he is back out into the race after being in the pit area for quite a while. And this was a great break for Clemens because he is now out there picking up valuable points as a lot of race cars have fallen out here in the late stages today. Real quickly, I want to give you an update on what's going on in the points race. Freddie Query came into this race as the point leader. Of course, he's running 3rd or 4th on the racetrack right now, as well as Billy Bigley. Those two just changed positions. Mike Garvey was 3rd in the points coming in, but he is out of the race, finishing at least 20th or worse today. So Garvey is going to really take a beating in the points. Dwayne Dempsey in car number 70 running in the top 10, and Jimmy Cope is your leader.
There you can get another idea of that sun in the eyes, but look at Freddie Query. He's trying every way to get around Bigby. He's on the inside. He's on the outside. He's not going to go into that corner clear on the outside, stay out there all the way around, though. He's got that part figured out. Now then he's going to try to get him on the inside. Let's see if he can keep it going. Nope, he's going to have to give way. He has been every place on the racetrack. He's tried both sides. So far, hasn't been able to do it.
Well, Billy Bigley's from Naples, Florida, in the car number 28. Sponsorship on that car from Royal Purple Lubricants. It's a Chevrolet, and he's making her awfully wide coming off of turn number 4.
Well, that's the idea. When you're in front of somebody and battling for position, you got to make the race car wide. Uh-oh, he's got some smoke coming out of that car. I believe he's got some smoke coming out of the back of that car as they went around that corner. I can't see it down the straightaway, but through the middle of the corner appears to be just a tad bit of smoke, and that's not good.
Whoa, and Freddie Query got the left rear tire down off the racetrack that time, trying to take the position off of Billy Bigley. Again, he goes way down to the inside. He's going to try him every which way but loose on the racetrack. And you're right, the smoke continues down the middle of the straightaway now for Bigley.
Yeah, that smoke out of Bigley's car has definitely gotten worse in the last lap or so. That time he got the wheel off just a little bit, wiggled a little bit, gave Query a chance to get under him. Just didn't want to take the chance, though. He didn't want to spin both of them by sticking his nose in there where he shouldn't be.
Well, we talked about Freddie Query completing 100% of the laps so far this year. The only other driver on the racetrack that's done that is Billy Bigley. He has also completed every lap of the season. And, of course, to win the race, you got to be running at the finish.
We certainly do. And obviously right now, Jimmy Cope is doing a great job. And look at the smoke now coming out of Bigley's car. It seems to just be getting worse and worse, and doesn't seem to be really slowing him down any. You know, maybe it looks like heat rather than maybe oil. Who knows at this point? But it does appear to be coming out of the back end of the car rather than the engine compartment.
So Billy Bigley with a bit of a problem, and there goes Query to take the position back as they battle for third and fourth on the racetrack. You know, I feel bad for Billy Bigley because here is a driver who has never won one of these Hooters Cup races. He's a very talented guy. 2 second-place finishes. As a matter of fact, just a few weeks ago, he finished second at at New Smyrna, but never won a race.
Well, he's always been in the hunt. That's why you got to feel a little bit bad for him. He's always running the top 5. The old saying is in racing, if you put yourself in a position to win a race, sooner or later you will. And I'm sure the same thing will happen to him.
Oh, I agree with you, no doubt about it. 177 career starts, though, and no victories. So I'm sure Billy Bigley would like to get that monkey off of his back.
Right now, Cope leading, and actually he's pretty comfortable out there. He's had a pretty nice lead for the whole second half of this race. On every restart, he got a great jump, and right now he's just kind of cruising, waiting for that checkered flag to come out.
So Cope out front, and he's got a good run going, but the continued problems for Billy Bigley, not sure what that's about. Marty Reed, maybe you can give us an update on Bigley.
Well, down here in Billy Bigley Jr.'s pit, they have got their fingers crossed. They see the smoke just like you guys do, and they think it's the rear end. Billy's talking to him. He doesn't know what the problem is. He's backing up. He's holding on. They're just hoping that checkered flag falls very quickly.
Oh, trouble on the backstretch. 2 cars have come together. That's
Wayne Niedecken.
Yeah, Junior Niedecken in the number 99 UniFirst entry. And I can't see the other car. It's right underneath our camera here. It appears to be the 71. Yes, it is. Harold Fair Jr. So those 2 cars have made contact in turns number 1 and 2.
Boy, they made heavy contact, too. As you can see, Niedecken's car was all torn up. And Fair, oh, look at that. The whole left rear of the car is torn up. And that thing's going down kind of side saddle down the racetrack right now.
Harold Fair Jr. in the car number 71 from Romulus, Michigan, and Junior Niedecken, Wayne Niedecken Jr., I should say, who comes from over around Pensacola way. So, boy, he's awful close to our camera position there.
Yeah, he is. I bet he got his attention when he came sliding in there. As Fair gets out, he's going to take his helmet off, and his day is done. He's not even going to try to make it back. Meanwhile, Niedecken's limped back into the pit area.
Oh,
boy. Limped. Man, I don't know whether that's the word or not. Crawled, hopped, jumped, whatever, but he's barely going to make it back in there.
Not sure that race car will be allowed to go back out onto the track with all that driver's side door being exposed like that. Harold Fair Jr., of course, the son of Harold Fair Sr. Of course, that makes sense. He's a veteran of the ASA and the Arcabondo Marhide series. Harold, of course, getting most of his experience at the Toledo Speedway, a track that really lays out very similarly to this track here in Mobile.
It has one big difference. It's got awful hard walls. I know those guys that both found them at one time or another. As we see right there, our leader, Jimmy Cope, going around, and look at this, going into the pit area. Is that? It is. That's Freddie Query heading into the pit area. So, this last part of the race.
Oh, Query, a top 5 car here in the race, on his way down to the pit area in car number 8. 3 top 10 finishes in 1997, and he's rolling the dice a little bit here. We'll see what's going on down there. Hey, Marty Reed, you got a viewpoint of what's going on with Freddie Query?
Freddie Query came in because they had 2 good tires that they had left, so they decided to put them on the left side. See if they could go back to the front. Remember, you got 5 laps that you must run under green before the checker can fall.
That's very interesting strategy. Not a lot of time left. And I'll tell you what, this is a very difficult racetrack to pass on. He's going to take a big, big gamble and give it a shot.
So they got to run 5 laps of green. We'll be back with the shootout from Mobile International Raceway. And welcome back to the Miller Lite 200. The terminal trucking number 5, driven by Bobby Gill, currently runs second on the racetrack to Jimmy Cope.
Yes, and he's had a good run so far. He's run second a lot, though, and I'm sure that he would like to win. We asked him before the race, just how tough is it and how frustrating is it to run second a lot?
I mean, not really. We run second, then we got wrecked, and New Smyrna, we finished ninth, had some problems there. But, I mean, today and yesterday in practice, we got one of the fastest cars here. Is just, you know, getting it all worked out and being there at the end.
Well, of course, that is definitely the key to the success of this division, is to be there at the end. We certainly saw that from Mike Garvey, who's been posted out of the race now in 21st position. Going to hurt him a lot in the points.
Well, it certainly is. And Bobby Gill, you got to appreciate his tenacity. I mean, he's stuck in there under a lot of adversity. He's done a really good job, and as he said right there, you know, he's in this thing for the long haul. And look at this. Talk about tenacity. That's Nedeck, and he's back out on the racetrack, and that thing is really tracking in really 2 different directions. He's got a bent frame on that car.
Absolutely. He's going out there to try to get a few more valuable points. Of course, we're talking about Bobby Gill. He has 12 career top 5 finishes in this division, and that's what it takes to win a championship, no doubt about it. Your leader is Jimmy Cope. There are 5 cars on the lead lap, and we're about to get the restart. There's the indication from Dick Westfall, 1 lap to go, and it's going to be a shootout.
And you can see those cars, see them wiggling back and forth. We talked a little bit earlier about how important it was to keep those marbles, that buildup, off your tires. That's exactly what those guys are doing right there. They're trying to knock all those marbles off. You can see them right there, giving a little squirt in the corner, trying to get all those little marbles off, because the guys who haven't done that are the ones that we've seen slide real high on those restarts. None of these guys, especially these guys up front, certainly don't want to have something like that happen. So they're going to work as hard as they can to get all those marbles off, make sure they get a good, clean start.
The big question I have for you, Larry, is we know the front 2 cars are okay, but what about Billy Bigley in the number 28? He's been worried about that rear end and whatever problem, and now there's 5 more hot laps to go on the track.
Well, all he can do is cross his fingers and stand on the gas. He's got no hope of going in and changing anything right now, so he's got to just do the best he can, run that car as hard as he can, try not to do anything that's going to cause that rear end or whatever the problem is to really blow up on him. But he can't waste any time, because he's got a couple of cars behind him that are knocking on his door.
5 laps to go to see who the winner of this race is going to be. Again, it's the 4th event of 1997. 18 races make up the championship chase for $500,000, being sponsored by Miller Lite in the point fund. And right now the Miller Lite race car is on a wire.
Oh, Jimmy Cope just pulls away, and there we see the 8 car, Freddie Query, goes right around Bigley. Bigley obviously not running as nearly as quick as he was a while ago. The 25 car, Scott Wimmer, also working on him, but he's got some problems. But I'll tell you who doesn't have any problems, and that's Jimmy Cope. He is walking away from everybody.
So Freddie Query takes another position, moves up from 5th to 4th as he gets by Bigley, and Scott Wimmer again in the top 5 right now. If he's able to hold on to that position, it'll be his best finish of 1997 for that Wisconsin native. Right now it's all Jimmy Cope in the Miller Lite, number 1, 3 laps to go.
Yeah, and I think Query actually just went around Bigley for 3rd position. Bigley's now in 4th. He's up to 3rd. So they're the first 2 cars. They're about separated by about a half a straightaway. You'll see on the far right hand of your screen. No, you don't see him. But anyway, there's your leader, Jimmy Cope, as he has just walked away from everybody. Bobby Gill can run quick, but he can't keep up with him.
The white flag is in the air from official starter Dick Westfall. He's telling them on the radio, half a lap to go. No challenge of any kind for Jimmy Cope, the driver from St. Petersburg, Florida. 39-year-old Cope takes the first win for him in 1997 in the Miller Lite Chevrolet.
He did a very nice job. Freddie Query comes in 3rd. And Billy Bigley did a nice job running in 4th with all the problems and all the smoke there near the end of the race.
Well, Jimmy Cope has really had a very stellar season. We documented earlier that he finished 20th at Volusia County, but a 6th place at Lakeland and a 5th place at New Smyrna, and winning today is going to move him up in the points, and he came in here running 5th in the points. So a great race for Jimmy Cope and the Miller Lite team.
Well, that whole team can be very proud of themselves. They had everything planned well. They ran their strategy. They ran their race. And everything that they had talked about, everything that they wanted to do before the race, it went like clockwork. And believe me, not very often does a team plan a race and carry out that strategy that well.
Cope the winner, then Bobby Gill. Freddie Query comes home 3rd. Bigley and Scott Wimmer, your top 5. Today's running of the Miller Lite 200 was brought to you in part by Hooters Restaurants, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined, and by Jackaroo Barbie Sauce. If you've got regular barbecue, you ain't got Jack. And by Naturally Fresh, pure spring mountain water. It's delightfully refreshing.
There's Bobby Gill, our 2nd place finisher. But let's go down to Marty Reed with our winner.
And he climbs out from the race car. Jimmy Cope, to the cheers of the fans. Jimmy, come on down here. I'll tell you what, this is becoming a habit. 2 years in a row. What a great run.
I'll tell you, we qualified yesterday, and I think probably overdrove the car a little bit, and we ended up 13th. And I wasn't real happy with the car. We had the setup we ran here in October, and today we threw a bunch of springs and shocks at it. And I told him in the last practice there about 10 minutes ago, I said, guys, this thing's as good as it's going to be right there. Let's just see what we got. And I tell you, thanks to a great crew, especially the Miller Beer, McDonough Plumbing, Mega Power Products, Bud's Poultry, all the people involved there, automotive specialists for the car. Port City Racing South, Port City North, Harley, thank you, man. Just a great race car, great team. That's another one.
Were you scared a little bit on that last caution? I mean, a 5-lap shootout, and they were right in your back door.
My car had been real good after a caution. If I scrubbed the right front tire good. Early in the race, I lost a bunch of spots. I learned something there. Get the car down the bottom, make that right front tire work, and that's what we done. It's just a great day, another win. You know, I just can't say enough about the competition. Bobby, I thought Bobby would be there, and he was a little better long greens. I was better on short greens, so it paid today.
Congratulations, great win.
Thank you.
So a big Central Florida smile on the face of Jimmy Cope, the winner today in the Miller Lite 200. As we look down through the top drivers, it was Gill, then Query. Tony Walls comes home with a 6th place run. Ronnie Sanders battles back in car number 18 to finish 10th.
Yes, look at Mario Goslin. After all the trouble, he still finished 11th, which will do good for his point standings.
Bill Plemons Jr. in 16th. We see Lee Raymond in 19th, and Ronnie Burkett rounds out the top 20. Well, one of the terrible things about winning a race is you got to get your picture taken with the Hooters girls.
Doesn't look too terrible to me. I don't know about you. That's always one of the joys of winning a race like this.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations again to our winner, Jimmy Cope, and Marty Reeds with 2nd place finisher.
Okay. Well, we caught up with Bobby Gill. I have to be honest. I thought after the early race troubles you had that it might have been a long day, and man, here you are in 2nd place. Great run.
Yeah, I tell you, this Terminal Trucking Motorsports car, we had a flat tire there. Left rear went flat, and we thought it was right. I mean, with the sealer out there, you couldn't tell what it was, and that's kind of my fault there. And we just kept pushing and pushing, and you know, I don't know, the car worked good. Right.
Yeah. Well, the driver worked good too. Congratulations, good run.
Thank you.
Well, Bobby Gill was 7th coming in the points today, and that'll help him a bunch as we look at the Miller Lite Points Championship chase. Freddie Query on the top, and he's with Marty Reed.
And we have caught up with the man in 3rd place, and I want to tip a hat to you, either you or Alex, whoever made the call to come in and put those 2 tires on with the 5 laps to go, because, man, that was the difference between 5th and 3rd.
Yeah, Alex and I both wanted to change tires, but we couldn't make up our mind whether to change the 2 rears or 2 lefts. And at the last minute, I said, let's change the 2 lefts. You know, at least it gives me a good tire on each corner on the left-hand side. But I can't say enough about this Jeff Hamner motor. I tore the front end up. The motor ran hot most of the race, and the thing just kept on digging, you know. And we had a great race car all day long. And, you know, racetrack being the way it is with the sealer on it, it's just, you got to take your hats off to everybody raced out here today that everybody's race car is pretty much in one piece, and nothing got tore up any worse than what it did.
Well, this man, 4 races, and he's never been lower than 4th. That's the way you win championships, guys.
Well, thank you, Marty. There have been 4 different races in 1997 and 3 different winners. Next race for the Hooters Cup Series, as you saw, Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina, coming up April 12th. Call them and get your tickets. If not, you can see it right here on ESPN2. Larry Rice, your final thoughts of today's race.
Well, good, close, competitive racing, as every one of these has been. It's going to be a tight battle for that championship.
The championship battle line has been drawn, and Jimmy Cope from St. Petersburg, Florida, has put his name on the list. The Miller Lite #1 is #1 today here at Mobile. Along with Marty Reed and Larry Rice, I'm Ray Dunlap. Thanks for joining us. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.